John Ducker here. Initially I was planning on creating a podcast that was going to explain why no managers had been fired this season up to December, and nobody had been fired, which is quite an achievement. And the minute I was thinking of doing that, West Brom, of all people, sacked their manager and placed them with Sam Allardyce, thus throwing that completely out the window. Instead I'm doing this, which is why Michael Arteta and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are not going to be fired, at least until the summer. Now, for those of you who have seen my previous videos on the big picture, you'll know that I am forecasting that TV revenue is going to fall very dramatically in the next bout of TV rights. Maybe not the American market, but definitely I think the British market. That's going to filter through quite dramatically, I think, especially given the weakness of the gate receipts currently and of the commercial income. That's going to bleed through into player wages and the cost of players. Basically, we're going to see a reduction in transfer fees, and this affects both Arsenal, Man U, and I suspect Liverpool, although they're not worried about getting a new manager in the fact that they're not going to be able to offer an incoming manager the ability to spend dramatic. Take, for instance, Manchester United at the moment. A lot of fans are very happy that they've made a signing, but if you look at that signing, it's very much a signing that says this is a player coming through, as opposed to a player that's, I suppose, Champions League quality. So they're bringing in someone who's going to be on relatively cheap wages for the squad, maybe as low as £50,000. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's about 50,000, 50 to 70. And he's on a 4.5-year contract. Now, the reason they didn't sign Sancho is because he was going to require much bigger wages, and they were going to have to commit for that for the 5-year period, which, not knowing what the finance is going to be from the TV money and from the commercial income, even if the fans are back, they couldn't commit to. So now they're picking up players of a lower quality, I would argue, possibly the same potential, but of a lower quality currently, and bringing them in early to develop them into the squad, which is cheaper than going out and buying your Sanchos and your Bruno Fernandes and all the other high quality players that they've brought in. Now, I think further developments for Man U probably are dependent on outgoings. If we see them moving a lot of the players on they want to be rid of, we could well see some more purchases. The situation at Arsenal is quite interesting, because it looks like someone there watched one of my videos, because again, in the big picture project, I mentioned that the championship clubs should be getting a bailout from the Bank of England to clear off their debts. Well, Arsenal have gone ahead and spoken to the Bank of England within the context, I believe, of what has been laid out for the furloughing schemes, etc. So they've taken advantage of that and taken a loan facility of 120 million. They're hoping that's short term, but I wouldn't be surprised a little bit if, with it being a London club, if the Bank of England didn't actually encourage them to do so, to set a precedent and give other clubs lower down, like the Championship, the idea to do the same. But clearly they're in financial difficulties. Yes, they might buy a player this transfer window. Any more than that, I think, is dependent on Mesut Ozil leaving. I'm not sure he will, because I suspect it may be a big drop in money for him, so he may just stay where he is and take the money he can. So I don't know if that's going to be available again to him for a while, if at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stays. In that case, you are going to be very limited in what you spend. Again, the same is true. Bringing in another manager here before the end of the season is going to cost you in what they want and what players they want to bring in. Now, getting on to West Brom, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't sack their manager this season. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, actually, I think more likely is that Sam Allardyce will end up feeling he's not been backed in the transfer market and that he may actually walk away from West Brom. But either way, I think they're in serious trouble now. I can't really understand why they replaced their manager just when they looked like they were about to hit form, but it's made the Baggies fans very happy because they love hating their manager, and they were a bit uncomfortable. Now they're quite happy to hate Sam Allardyce, especially as they see him as a Wolves man. You made the fans happy, but you've not made yourself pop. Quite an achievement. Yeah, I think West Brom will lose another manager before this season's over, one way or another. Frank Lampard at Chelsea, he might be in trouble, but I think for most others, given the exceptional circumstances, even if they have a bad year, that maybe they'll get another crack at the whip, even if they're relegated for some of them. I don't see this being a big management turnover season. I don't think most clubs can afford to really do that given the scenario. So again, that's why you're not going to see these managers go. If you're Frank Lampard, sorry, money means nothing to Chelsea, so you could go. But I think everyone else is going to be there till the end of the season. So you've made it to the end of the video. That means you exist. If you do exist, and you liked or disliked anything about this video, feel free to tell me you exist and that you're not just a bot or some glitch in the system.